having so much fun with community storytelling today. It's season 3. Linda Lester, we love you. Thank you for supporting us. Jayco's Art House in Los Gatos. Stop by, look at their gorgeous artwork. You can see a little bit here, though, of course. And a great guest today because she's all about kids. I think she's all about kids. And you're going to meet her right now. Maybe you already know her, Andrea Anderson, because you're a Los Gatos resident.
I am Monteserino, actually.
Monteserino. I get the two, the
I feel Los
borderline is so thin that you just hop over it and you're in Monteserino. So you wrote this fabulous book, which everybody has seen, and A Journey to Silicon Valley. But we're going to start at the beginning because you were born in Germany. You end up in London. How in the heck did you end up in Los Gatos?
That's a kind of long story. So first I ended up in London, which eventually brought me to California. I met my husband in Georgia on a scholarship when I was 20 years old. I decided to just go abroad for a year, experience something else.
So college scholarship?
Yeah, college scholarship. And my husband did the same. So he had applied for the same scholarship. It was a Rotary scholarship. He came to Georgia as well. And we had a great time. We met, but we didn't start dating. But at that time already, I loved California. I was very thankful for the scholarship in Georgia, but before, we didn't have the internet when I organized it. So I just came across this opportunity. Today you would Google what other options are there or whatever. So I went to California twice during my time. I always loved California because we all know California dreaming and everything. And I even was intrigued by Silicon Valley already at the time. So when we drove down the coast from San Francisco, I said to my friend, somewhere here is the tech center of the world. It's developing, it's evolving, it's Silicon Valley. And I looked at my travel guide, I looked out for signs. I couldn't find anything about Silicon Valley.
What year was that?
1990. So it was there. But there was no Hollywood sign for Silicon Valley telling me this is where it is, this is where it's happening.
And there still is no Hollywood sign.
There is no sign, and the beginnings are humble, the beginnings are small, and Silicon Valley started very humble. So
in garages
don't advertise this is where the future invention of XYZ is. So anyway, that's what brought me to Georgia. That's what let me meet my husband. My husband then brought me to London. And we started a family, we had 3 children, we were settled, we had a house, they were all starting school, and his company offered whether he would ever want to live in California and work here. And I'm like, I'm all for the sunshine, I'm coming.
Yes, really.
And then the reasonable me was, I have 3 children, I have a home, I'm a responsible mom now, I have to stay where I am and give them a stable upbringing. So I decided if we want to try out something different, now is the time to do it. There were 5, 6, and 8 at the time.
Yes.
And we said, let's go to America, let's go to California, let's go to Silicon Valley. And we give it between 1 to 3 years to decide whether we want to stay until the children have graduated from their schools, because I wanted them to have stability during their teen years.
Now, was your husband in tech? Is that why he was coming to California?
Yes, he is with one of the big tech companies, but he's not a geeky tech inventor. He's more he's a very organized person, so he's doing background work.
So you decide on Monteserino, or did you live someplace else first?
We actually came on a trip beforehand. We had a relocation agent, and we zipped all over Silicon Valley looking at houses that were available, getting a sense of the areas. And eventually I saw that house in Monteserino, and I said, this is how I want to bring up my children.
Oh.
It had space, it was open, it just was everything I wanted my children to have in their upbringing. My husband looked at me, he said, it's quite run down. We learned about fixer-uppers in California and that they cost $1 million, and there was a reality check for us. And I was like, it doesn't matter that it's run down, but it's a beautiful setting. This is how I want them to live. And then I said to him, we're only renting, and remember, if we don't like it, we can always go. And we rented that house, we bought that house, we remodeled that house. It's not a fixer-upper anymore, and we still live in the ssame place.
So there is such a thing as a rundown house in Monteserino?
Well, houses that need some attention.
Okay, a little bit. Okay. Because I've never heard that expression.
We had a very new house in England.
Yeah.
And we were set. We were fine there. So there weren't many reasons to go. And still there was this inner spark to just do it.
So were you an author? Did you always want to be an author? I mean, where does the book come from?
I was not an author before. I always liked to write. I reflected back on this writing thing, and then I realized as a teenager I was writing one diary after the other, and all these books, they are still lined up in probably boxes in my parents' attic somewhere. So I always enjoyed writing and found writing a way to just process what I took in. And even when we lived here, when we were new, there were so many new impressions. Because when you come from somewhere else and you see something with a fresh mind, it's so different. And I thought, this is so special. I just always wrote notes and snippets, not a structured book.
And what you thought was special, we lived with every day, so we never thought of it as special. It was just another building or another house or, you know, another company. So you write the book. It's called A Journey to Silicon Valley and Beyond. Mm-hmm. And it is geared for kids. It's the picture, the cover is adorable. And what do you tell kids about Silicon Valley? What did you write in the book?
Well, it's this journey. It's got a lot in common with our journey here, but I made it a generic children's picture book. But to be honest, I intentionally made it a book that grown-ups would enjoy with their children. Because so many times, I think all of us parents know this, you sit there with your children, you read a story, and you feel like, I want to be entertained too.
Yes.
So I wrote the story on 3 levels in a way. So these 2 child characters guide through the story, and there's speech bubbles, and you can follow them. But at the bottom, you have did you know snippets. So factual information that reminds you of just interesting snippets that are underlying in the situation, that give you just information about the place. That might be too complex for little children, but as a parent, if you read with a child, you will feel, oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, this is good. I need to read up on this. Google is my best friend here.
And did you take your children to all of these different places as you wrote the book? Were they with you?
Yes. So in the beginning, we explored a lot. We got visitors. They come to Silicon Valley. They're like, Silicon Valley is exciting. Show us the excitement. And we drive out, and I'm like, how do I convey this excitement? There is offices. Oh, look, here's Google.
Yes.
Oh, there is Facebook. Oh, there is company signs. Oh, let's visit the HP garage. And it's quite an anticlimax. There is not so much visible.
Right.
We are not a tourist destination. We are amazing in a different way.
We're not Hollywood.
We are not Hollywood. It's amazing how California has these 2 extremes. We are the introverts, the geeks, the people who love an idea and pursue this idea. We are not centered on the people and fame. We are centered on the idea and what we can make out of it and how we can improve it. So through all this trying to explore Silicon Valley itself, I explored what's underlying, what's the mindset behind it, and which factors of success make Silicon Valley what it is.
So you said you had some interesting snippets, and we are going to get to those. We're going to break, let you see Leicester Square. We always love stopping by Leicester Square. We're going to come back with Andrea Anderson and find out some of the interesting snippets that we never see when we just drive through Silicon Valley. You're watching Community Storytelling with Lissa Kreisler, and I so thank you. Hi, it's Lissa Kreisler. I'm at Leicester Square right here at the corner of Blossom Hill Road and Los Gatos Boulevard. A lot of fun things to do. Ken!
Lissa,
I didn't even
nice to see you.
finish my sentence. I'm so surprised to see you. What are you doing here?
Well, we live close by, and we're taking Rocky to the vet today.
So do you have time for a cup of coffee at Phil's with me afterwards?
Sure. Is it your treat or mine?
It's definitely your treat.
And Rocky's coming too.
Good with me. I am so glad to run into you at Leicester Square. It's one of my favorite places.
It's one of my favorite places too, and we've been to Varenza and Super Duper and Phil's, and we love going here.
And so you know where I live, I have no flowers, so I come here to Leicester Square to enjoy all the flowers. They're gorgeous. So the motto here that Linda Lester coined is meet me at the square, or meet us at the square, or meet your besties at the square. I meet everybody at the square. It's Leicester Square in Los Gatos.
Come on by, and cheers.
Yes. Well, welcome back to Community Storytelling. I'm Lissa Kreisler, and I have with me Andrea Anderson, who wrote this fabulous children's book, just out a few months now, called A Journey to Silicon Valley and Beyond. And I mean, just looking at the cover, it looks fabulous. And you have a mug, and you said interesting snippet. What was interesting about Los Gatos? What did you find about Los Gatos that you put in the book?
Well, first of all, it was very hard to figure out where are the cities in Silicon Valley. So that's one thing as a European which you struggle with the map. But Los Gatos, I mean, we all know what it's famous for. These days, it's Netflix.
Sure.
So we have Netflix, and Netflix is in the book. And by the way, there is no sponsorship of any of the companies or so. I just chose the companies that I want to represent based on geography, and pretty much like when you open your computer, I was imagining what is behind all this. So I opened my computer. It was a Mac at the time. It used to say Intel inside, so Intel is in it. And
Sure.
I wanted to explore that. And then I probably Googled something. Google is just down the road. And that was fascinating to me. And I usually check Facebook. So Facebook is just up there. And what else? Oh, and then I want to sit back and binge a bit with Netflix. And I mean, Netflix.
Oh, perfect tie-in. Circle of life.
It is like the circle of life in my book. And Netflix is amazing just to look at the process behind the idea developing. It was the time of blockbuster VHS videos. You drive to the store and rent it. Then we came up with, not we, but we had DVD service sent to your home. And just this idea was amazing. It was Netflix in the early days where they felt we can do this by mail order. And just having that idea, it seemed small at the time. It seemed big at the time, but small for us now because we got so used to it. And then with the internet getting stronger and better, just streaming, and we were the lucky ones in Los Gatos that we got Netflix here.
What spot did your kids love?
To visit?
Yes.
I think we also went to Stanford in this.
Yes.
I think Stanford is an amazing place to visit with children. I think it's quite a challenge to bring across this fascination of the big companies to children, because what you see from the outside, and that's what I focus on in the book, everything that anyone can go and see. Because we've all been in some companies where you get in with some special guest permit or someone who works there. So that's not what I do in the book. I purely focus it on what you can see as a sort of mainstream visitor. So what my kids loved with that, I think they loved taking the bikes at Google and just cycling around on the cool Google bikes.
So in a way, it's a road trip with your kids through Silicon Valley.
It is a bit.
Yes, I mean, that's simplistic. And I would think that the local hotels need to have this book in their hotel rooms.
And one hotel has actually taken on the book.
I would think.
I just sold a whole bunch to, I don't know whether I should say the name.
Yes, you
to
can.
the Aloft Hotel in Cupertino. They want to try it on the one location and then spread it out to the other hotels. So they have one of these books in every room now with a little card for the guests to enjoy the book in the room while they're there and to buy one in the store downstairs when they go home.
And we have a couple of beautiful hotels in Los Gatos. I'm thinking you got to stop by there.
Yeah, I do need to make sure it's the right sort of spirit of hotels. So
Yes.
this is sort of Silicon Valley business hotel. If you come as a business person, and my husband goes on business trips quite a lot, and especially when the kids were younger, the pressure is there. Did you bring us something nice? And then it's usually, no offense, T-shirts from the airport or something.
Right.
And I think this would make a lovely educational gift to take home, because the journey to Silicon Valley goes beyond, and it goes to that mindset, and it gives children messages about perseverance, resilience, accepting failure, moving on, and just what it takes. And on the way to visiting the company, I always give these educational messages too. For example, we mentioned Netflix earlier, but what does it take? Not binging all day. We have so much choice. We need to make mature choices these days and pick and be wise about how we spend our time. We all only have 24 hours in the day.
Yes.
And we all need a certain wheel of what's going on. There is homework, there is sleep, there is exercise, time, downtime and time outside. And then there is technology. And with all the technology there, parents are being challenged, and children need to learn a whole new set of skills that the previous generation just didn't need to teach.
So where do these parents get to buy this book?
Well, the easiest way these days is always online. I do have a website.
Amazon.com?
Amazon.com to SiliconValleyandBeyond.com. Some local bookstores, and I name them on my website. In Los Gatos, the Chamber of Commerce took it on, but the easiest is Amazon.
Your website is wonderful. So there you go. You got to get this book. You have been a wonderful guest. Thank you so much. And what a story. She had not only a story, she had a book to share. So you're next. Go to KCAT.org and nominate yourself or nominate a bestie, and we will see you right here in the other chair next to me on Community Storytelling. Thanks for being with us.